Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
Here are today's top headlines. GM's and Chrysler's viability plans go to the government this evening. Daimler posts a substantial fourth quarter loss, and European unions want Opel and Saab spun off of General Motors. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Tuesday, February 17, 2009, and now the news. The deadline is 5 p.m. tonight. That's when GM and Chrysler have to turn their viability plans over to the U.S. Treasury. And we finally have a car czar, though they're not calling him a car czar. The Wall Street Journal reports the government's lead person on the bailout effort is Ron Bloom, a 53-year-old investment banker who also helped successfully restructure the American steel industry. He will also be joined by Diana Farrell, Deputy Director of the National Economic Council, Steve Gursky from Centerbridge Capital, and possibly Steve Ratner from Quadrangle. The Journal says, like we reported yesterday, the car czar job was politically radioactive, so we're getting a panel of experts instead. And maybe this will help give GM the leverage it needs to get concessions it needs from bondholders and the UAW. As we went to press, there was no announcement on agreements between GM and the other parties. But knowing that they now face a panel that's got lots of experience with bankruptcies may force them to accept concessions, so the General does not have to go into Chapter 11. Daimler reported this morning that it made 1.4 billion euros last year, but that was down from 4 billion the year before. The drop-off was due to a 3.2 billion euro write-down from its holdings in Chrysler and a steep drop in profits at Mercedes-Benz. In the fourth quarter, Daimler reported a net loss of 1.5 billion euros, as well as an operating loss of 1.2 billion. Mercedes alone saw a 22% drop in revenue and posted a loss of 360 million euros. Honda may not be leaving Formula One after all. According to Autoblog, it may be more cost-effective if the team stays in F1 a while longer, instead of paying out employee severance packages. And there are also reports F1 chief Bernie Ecclestone will help fund the team, but only enough for the first 4 races. Fiat will premiere the convertible version of the 500 at the Geneva Motor Show in a few weeks. It's the same size as the base model and available with the same powertrain options, a diesel and 2 gas engines. It also features a stop-start system, which shuts off the engine when the vehicle comes to a stop and automatically starts back up when put into gear. GM's European Union leaders called for a spin-off of the Opel-Vauxhall brands, as well as Saab, in order to potentially avoid plant closures and layoffs. According to Reuters, the union fears GM's European operations will take a big hit as the company restructures to prove its viability to the U.S. Congress. The union also says the company is not taking into consideration the loans guaranteed by European governments and the existing contracts on the European and national level. Coming up next, a look at the all-new Mazda 3. We'll be back right after this.
Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry.
Bridgestone.
The Mazda 3 is the most popular model in the company's lineup, representing a third of Mazda sales worldwide, and now we're about to see the latest version hit the showrooms. You can still tell this is a Mazda 3, but it's sleeker and more aggressive than before. It shares some design cues from the Mazda 6 and RX-8, like the accentuated front fenders and hood. And Mazda used input from its designers in Japan, North America, and Europe. Inside, the instrument panel is padded and seamless with a grained surface that sweeps from the center console to both A-pillars. To make the ride more comforting, the seats were reshaped and extended for additional thigh, lumbar, and shoulder support. Size-wise, the Mazda 3 is 3 inches longer than the previous model, but rides on the same wheelbase and track. New unibody construction methods help shave 24 pounds. As before, there are 2 4-cylinder engines, a 2-liter and 2.5-liter. You can expect combined fuel economy in about the mid-20s. The most interesting and unique feature of the Mazda 3 is the iStop system, offered with the 2-liter direct injection engine. Instead of using the electric starter, it restarts the engine by injecting fuel directly into a cylinder near top dead center and igniting it by firing off the spark plug. This technology helps cut fuel consumption by about 12% compared to the current European Mazda 3. The system will initially appear in Japan and Europe, however, it will be expanded to the entire world market. Interestingly, Ford says that it developed this stop-start technology at its Sci Labs in Dearborn, Michigan, and it will start using the system next year on some of its EcoBoost applications. Well, that's it for today's top news in the global automotive industry, but don't forget, we've got a live webcast coming Thursday at noon, where I'll be joined by a panel of experts to talk about the viability plans from GM and Chrysler. Will they be able to stay out of bankruptcy? Will they even be able to survive? We'll take your comments and questions as well. That's live at noon on Thursday. That wraps up this show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Visit our website for even more great content all week long. Autoline Extra, Dawn's Journal, podcasts, and even more. So click over and get the inside view at AutolineDetroit.tv.